Yes, namaste and welcome everyone for today's Hindu University of America webinar, Sankhya Darshana, the fundamental philosophical systems behind other Vedika systems. And our faculty, our guest, our speaker is Dr. Kuldeep Deepen. So in this webinar, Dr. Deepen will get into and teach Sankhya Darshana using the specific original Sanskrit text called Sankhya Karika of Ishvara Krishna, a short and succinct text of only 72 karikas, short explanatory verses on Rishi Kapila's Sankhya Darshana. So Dr. Deepen has this wonderful way of getting into deep principles of philosophy, explaining their importance, and giving a firm grounding to his students and participants. And in this context, you can gain strong grounding, a firm grounding in other Sanskrit texts, fundamental like the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic philosophical systems. So Dr. Deepen is now taught several quarters with HUA. He has his master's degrees, multiple master's degrees in English, philosophy, Sanskrit, and graphic design. He earned his doctorate in philosophy from Punjab University, and he has done his schooling at Kendriya Vidyalaya, Hebbal in Bangalore. He's done a lot of different things, journalism, worked with the Writers Bureau in the UK. He's published books such as the Yoga Vashishta of Valmiki, the ultimate iconoclast on the philosophy of Rajneesh Osho. He's written the book Emotion, the Essence of Life, Evolutionary Psychology, the Yoga Sutram, translation from Sanskrit to English, with the Vyasa Bhashya. And he's been teaching several different courses at HUA quarter by quarter, iterating, changing, and I think we'll have some testimonials of his students as he investigates the Sankhya Darshana, explains it to us, and leads us along to get us a better grounding in these scriptures and this philosophy. With that brief introduction, let me hand it over to him. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from, and I'll give you a shout out later. Dr. Deepen, are you ready to get us started?
Oh, yes, I'm ready. Thank you very much, Ankur Ji. You are a great anchor. And so I would like to call you Anchor Patel.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. So, namaste, friends, for taking out your valuable time and joining this webinar. Now, in this webinar, I'll be talking about the forthcoming course. And we have done Sankhya, at least this is the fourth, I think, at least the fourth batch. And whoever took Sankhya, they found it very useful. And later on, they took other courses also. Now, why Sankhya? Generally, it's not taught, or just an outline is given, but not taught in detail, at least at universities. So at HUA, we teach you Sankhya, and not just lectures on Sankhya, but we take the help of Sankhya Karika by Ishwar Krishna. And every Karika is, you can say, like a shloka. I'll tell you what it is later. So we go step by step, word by word, so that I eliminate myself as much as possible from the main text. You see the text first, and of course, I have to give an explanation. That's a different part. But at least you have the original words are there. Word meaning will be given in English also. And you will be also made to chant the karikas. I'll be giving you reading material. My own notes will be there. In addition to that, I'll share a lot of PDFs with you. Books written by others on Sankhya Karika and books on Sankhya system and such things, and videos and such things. But my notes would be sufficient for you. Yes, if you have time to read extra, nothing like it. I think I'm allowed to share the screen. Yes, I am. Okay. Now I would expect at least few to respond to what I'm saying because I want to know. For example, question like, can you see the screen? I suppose you can. Okay, so this is Om Atha. Om Atha, we begin with Om usually. So Shri Ishwar Krishna Krita Sankhya Karika. Sankhya Karika, what is Sankhya Karika? And before that, what is Sankhya? Now, it's one of the philosophical systems of India, ancient India. So we have many philosophical systems, but on the classical point of view, there are 9 systems which are more very popular, which are taught. And they are divided into 2 sections, 6 Astic Darshanas and 3 Nastic Darshan. So in Astic Darshan, what is Astic Darshan? Astic Darshan, to put it very briefly, is Darshan means philosophy, by the way. The nearest word in English is philosophy. Although it's not a translation of this, Darshana means to see, to not just debate or something, you should see the truth. So that's what called Darshana, Sakshatkar, Darshana. So there is Astik. Very briefly, Astik means those who take Vedas to be the ultimate source of knowledge. All these darshanas, these 6, there's whatever they profess is based on the principles of Veda, the knowledge provided in the Vedas. So these are Purvamimamsa. So Purvamimamsa. Then this is also called Karma Kanda of the Vedas. Then Uttarmimamsa. This is the Vedanta, popularly known as Vedanta. And right now, it's the reigning philosophy of Hinduism. All over the world, generally when people speak, you have great saints and sages from India coming, going all over the world. Usually it's Vedanta they teach. And then, or yoga. These 2 are the most famous, most popular. Yoga, especially these days, it's very popular because of its practical implications. Then we have Sankhya, and then Yoga Darshana, Nyaya Darshan, and Vaisheshika Darshan. So these fall into the Vedic camp, who accept Veda as source of knowledge. Now there are others also, like Shaiva Darshan is there. It's also called Tantra. Then Tiruvalluvar Darshana. This is also very popular. And there are many actually. But classic, darshanas are these 6. And Nastic are ones which are not Astic. In other words, which don't accept Veda as the source of knowledge. In fact, they criticize the Vedas and they oppose the Vedas, whatever is said in the Vedas. So among these are 3 major ones. One is the Charvaka Darshan. These are the materialists, Indian materialists. Okay. And these are very close to modern materialists. They believe almost the same kind of philosophy is there. Then Jainism and Buddhism. These are the other 2 main opponents of this. And they are usually studied in, together. For example, Purvamimamsa, Uttarmimamsa are studied together. Sankhya and Yoga are studied together. Nyaya and Vaisheshika are studied together because there is some similarity between them. So we chose Sankhya. Okay. Then, apart from this, we have newer darshanas, some new philosophies in this sense, which develop later, like Bhakti. Darshana is there, Bhakti. There was a great Bhakti movement. That Sikh Darshana is there, Kabir. Like that, there are so many others. I haven't named all of them. So we will be studying Sankhya Darshana. Why Sankhya? Why not Vedanta or some others? The thing is, Vedanta Darshan, although it all many people teach it, no doubt. I also teach it. First I taught Sankhya Darshan, then next batch I taught Vedanta Sara. So Vedanta was taught. Then I also taught yoga, and then Nyaya, and now Vaisheshika Darshana is going on. The first batch will end December 17th. But I personally feel Sankhya is a good starting point to understand the Astic Darshanas. Ideally, you should study grammar and logic. Nyaya is logic. These and Vaisheshika. These three you should study first, ideally. But most of us, we don't have Sanskrit background, and we got interested rather after college or maybe later in life. And most of us think that it's too late to learn Sanskrit, which is not true. You can learn Sanskrit no matter what your age is. Only thing is you should have the desire and the will to do some work. You have to, you're learning language at a later stage. Obviously, you're not going to learn is as easily as children do. It's going to take some amount of effort from your end. So that Vyakarana, that language is important because most of these darshanas are written in Sanskrit. And it's a great problem when we translate from Sanskrit to other languages, especially European languages. Things get so distorted. And that's why all the misconceptions and wrong ideas about these darshanas prevail all over, even within India. So ideally, you should first study Vyakarana and Nyaya. If that's not possible, then the next best thing is to begin with Sankhya Darshan. And Sankhya Darshan is very brief, to the point, and scientific. It goes in a very logical. In fact, all the darshanas are that. It's not that only Sankhya, but we'll be studying Sankhya Karika. So we come down here. So what's Sankhya Karika? Sankhya, I told you. First, I'll tell you what Sankhya means, and then what Karika means. Sankhya, some upsarga is added to kya. What is kya? Kya means to narrate, to explain, elaborate, to analyze, to contemplate, and to acquire knowledge properly. So these are the properly. So that's what some. Some means properly. If you don't use some, it's just to narrate, to explain, to think, etc. So you could be thinking wrongly also. You could be thinking in an haphazard way. So when you say some is added, so Sankhya, that means there are certain laws of discussion, there are certain laws you have to follow, certain rules of Vyakarana, grammar you have to follow, and philosophy and logic you have to follow. You just can't say whatever you like. So that's why Sankhya. Some people say Sankhya because it comes from Sankhya. They think Sankhya means numbers. So they say Sankhya believes in 25 tattvas. So that's why it's called Sankhya Darshan. This is totally misleading because Vedanta also talks about tattvas. It also has numbers. Similarly, others, Shaivism talks about 36 tattvas. So Shaivism is not called Sankhya. So this definition, this explanation is not right. So here the right explanation is to acquire knowledge properly and to part it properly, impart that knowledge to others properly. Another meaning is to talk about Prakriti and Purusha properly. I shall come to that later. Darshana means to see, comes from the root dhatu drish. Drish prekshane, to see, to look, because seeing is believing. Until you see a thing yourself, you don't believe. All right. So, what's the basic premise of Sankhya? It's just like other darshanas also, Vedanta and others. Jnanadrite na mukti. The Shruti Vakya, Ved Vakya, Jnanadrite na mukti. That means mukti, moksha, is not possible without jnana. But jnana here doesn't mean external knowledge, it means self knowledge. Without self knowledge, moksha is impossible. Because these Astic darshanas believe that our misery is because of wrong knowledge, avidya. We have wrong knowledge about the world, and we also have wrong knowledge about our own selves. That's the problem. If I don't know, see, these days we have GPS. Okay. Now, if I want to go somewhere, the GPS should know where I am. Earlier, we had to put our location, now it takes it automatically. Nevertheless, the GPS should know where I stand. Otherwise, how can it take me elsewhere? And so I have to know where I stand, who I am, and where I want to go. Without that, how can I ever reach a place? And now you'll say, yeah, all of us know who we are. No doubt we know who we are, but the thing is, we have a wrong idea about ourselves. Suppose I lose my memory and I think I'm somebody else. Let's say I get this idea, I'm Ankur Patel. Then I'll be totally disorientated. I want to go somewhere, but I'll go to his house. I want to go to my house, but because I think I'm he, so I'll go to his house. That's because I have a wrong idea about myself. So first that idea has to be corrected. Somebody has to make me realize I am not Ankur Patel, I am Kuldeep Dhiman. Only then things will be right. Only then I'll be able to make sense of this world. But this happens with all of us. We think who we are. We think it's obvious that we know who we are. But I'll ask you later, if there is this discussion time is given, who you are, then you'll see how wrong we are about ourselves. So before knowing the self, it's important to know what's not the self. Right? I want to know gold, but before knowing gold, I should know what gold is not. Otherwise, how will I distinguish between gold and other things? The same way, what the self is not, I should first learn that. Everybody has an idea of the self, who the self is. But most people have different ideas about the self. Some people think their knowledge is their identity. Some people think their family is their identity. Some think their position is in society is their identity. Some think their body is their identity. Some think their mind is their identity, their intellect is their identity. All different types of, now which is the right one? We shall discuss this in this class. What is Sankhya Karika? Karika, I'll come to that. Written by Ishwar Krishna, 300 BC. or 400. See, these dates are generally not very accurate most of the time. There could be a difference of years and sometimes even centuries. So he wrote Sankhya Karika. These are 72 in number. Actually, two were written later in praise of Ishwar Krishna. So, in a sense, there are only 70 Karikas. Set to Arya Chanda. It's a meter. So, Arya meter. It's also called Saptati Karika. Saptati means 70. So, Saptati Karika. Because there are 70 Karikas, so it's named Saptati Karika. Also called Hiranya Karika. That is golden Karikas because they give you self knowledge. Then Suvarna Karika. Suvarna also means gold. So, these are the names. Now, there are other texts available. See, Ishwar Krishna did not start Sankhya system, by the way. It was started by Rishi Kapila. Ishwar Krishna just wrote a book on that, a very short book on that for students. So the oldest available text of Sankhya are called Sankhya Sutra and Sankhya Pravachan Sutra. The former is attributed to Kapila Muni and the latter to Vijnana Bhikshu. So Sankhya Pravachana Sutra is Sankhya Sutra to Kapila and Sankhya Pravachan because Vijnana Bhikshu wrote a commentary on it explaining the sutras. Sutras are very difficult to understand on their own. Without a commentary, you can't understand the sutras. So Vijnana Bhikshu wrote commentary on those sutras. And then there was Shashti Tantra by Panchashikhacharya. He lived maybe 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, we don't know. It's unfortunately not available. It had 1,100,000 shlokas, and it was a huge, really huge work. Unfortunately, it's not available. So what's available are these Sankhya Sutras attributed to Kapila. Some scholars say they were not written by Kapila. They think Vijnana Bhikshu wrote them and gave the credit to Kapila. But we can't prove this. Generally, these two are not taught. What they teach is Sankhya Karika. Sankhya Karika, it's the essence of Sankhya Darshana. So that's why, and because it's short, people generally, university, Gurukulas and universities, they teach this. There are many commentaries on this. One is called Martyr Vritti. It is available. Sankhya Tattva Kaumudi by Vachaspati Mishra. He was a great scholar and he wrote a very profound commentary on that called Sankhya Tattva Kaumudi. Then Gaudapada Bhashya. Acharya Gaudapada, he was Adi Shankaracharya's guru's guru. So Gaudapada Bhashya, he wrote that. That's also available. The difference between Shloka, Sutra, and Karika. Shloka is a verse, just like you have verses of the Gita and other Upanishads. That's written in verse form, usually 2 lines, and they're set to meter. Sutra, on the other hand, is not set to meter. It's an extremely short. It's an extremely short statement. It's like a formula, extremely short, and I won't go into that now because it'll get too late. But for example, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is a sutra from the Yoga Sutra. Now, what can you make out? If you don't know, the background, very difficult to make out what it means. So then that's why bhashyas were written, commentaries were written. They split up each word and explain the deeper meaning of the word and put it in context. So that's called sutra. But this is karika. Karika is like a shloka because it is set to meter, but it's called alpakshratve sati bahuartha gyapaka shloka karika. So it's a shloka. Karika is a shloka that's very brief, but it has very deep meaning. A shloka need not have a deep meaning. For example, shlokas of, suppose a kavya is written in like a story is written in shloka form. So in there, the poet can has the freedom to write more, can describe the garden in which the heroine is sitting, can talk about so many things, but not karika. Karika, you don't have that freedom. You have to be to the point. So it's just like scientific writing. No room for unnecessary elaboration and ornamentation. Okay, here you don't have alankars and all those metaphors. Those poetic alankars are not there. What's the main philosophy of Sankhya? It says Purusha, consciousness, and it's absolute, it doesn't change. Prakriti is the dynamic aspect of that conscious Purusha. I shall show you with the explanation of a chart, you will understand it better. Okay, I hope you can see this. Right. So Purusha is the conscious self, the universal consciousness. So in Sankhya, it's called Purusha. In Vedanta, it's called Brahma or Atma. In Shaiva Darshan, Shaiva philosophy, it's called Shiva. So different have different darshanas have the terminology may be different, but this is what it means. So Purusha, but Purusha doesn't change. It's doesn't have parts, so it is boundless. It has no shape, but this Purusha is conscious and it has knowledge. So, but knowledge alone is of no use if you want to make a world. Somebody has to do the legwork. So the dynamic aspect of Purusha is Prakriti. Vedant, this is called Maya or Avidya. In Shaiva philosophy, it is called Shakti. Because Shiva without Shakti is a Shava. Shava means dead body. It doesn't move, so what's the use? Without Shakti is important. And Shakti has three gunas, Sattva, Raja, and Tamaguna. And with this, it creates the entire universe. The first thing to be created is intellect, primordial intellect. Then egoism, ahankara. From ahankara comes the mind part, sattvic part. That's called chitta in Sankhya. And from this, five sense organs and the five motor organs. Sense organs, five: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. What else? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and five. And five karmendriyas, motor organs: hands, feet, tongue, genitals, and the anus. So these five things. So this is the jiva. Jiva is the individual, not necessarily humans. It could be animals also. But because we are humans, we write for ourselves. So these apply to human beings, although other animals also might have these things. And then the material world is explained by tamasic ahankara. So we have the five tanmatras: shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. And from there, five mahabhutas, the five elements are born: space, wind, fire, water, earth, akash, vayu, agni, jal, and prithvi. Why are we going through all this? We want to, the ultimate goal of Sankhya is freedom from misery. Then why should we know all this? Why should I know what this universe is made of? The thing is, first you should know where you stand. If I want to go to your place, I should know where I stand. I should know my own house first before trying to explain explore other things in this world. So this is our universe, because Purusha we don't see. So you would say, why should we believe in a Purusha? But you certainly see your hands, certainly see you have a mind, you certainly see the world. So at least begin with that, and then they will by neti neti, that is, not this, not this, not this, they'll take you to the Purusha. So this is the process. And this method is, see, Prakriti is born this way. This universe is born from Purusha to Prakriti like this. But to know what Purusha is, we have to do reverse engineering. We have to go back. So yoga also does the same thing. It talks about pranayam, it talks about asana, it talks about so many things. Why? When you want to know Ishvara, why all this is required? It's required because straight away, very few can reach there. We have to go through the process. We have to learn this. So this is the general scheme. These are 25 tattvas of Sankhya. Now let me come back to this. If I have something. So the universe is created and 25 tattvas just mentioned. What's the goal of Sankhya? The ultimate aim is liberation. Final liberation from misery. By realizing the separation between the Purusha and Prakriti, realizing what separates them. This realization brings freedom from the cycle of birth, death, and suffering. Relevance of this Sankhya has profoundly influenced other Indian philosophies such as Yoga, Vedanta, and even Buddhism, shaping the spiritual and philosophical landscape of India. Its scientific approach and focus on psychological insight remain relevant for understanding human nature and spiritual growth. There are many people, some of those who studied Sankhya with me, they were psychologists and psychiatrists. So they said that they found the teachings, the philosophy of Sankhya extremely helpful in their work. And even other people said the same thing. Now, what is the process? How I'll be teaching? You should have an idea. We'll begin with the original text. Now, this is the first karika of Sankhya karika, right? So I begin with this. I give it to you in Devanagari. And those of you who are not familiar with Devanagari, I also give it in the Roman script with diacritical marks. These marks, I suppose most of you know, they're called diacritical marks. So they transcribe Sanskrit into into Roman script. So if you can't read that, then this is the option. And first I make you recite this, and then Padacheda. Each, see, in Sanskrit, I think most of you know, see, such a long, one thing is so, one word, it seems to be one word. But it's not one word, these are different words joined. So I split them up. Each word is split up. Say Dukkha, Traya, Abhighata, Jigyasa, like that. Each word is split up. And then the word meaning of every split word is given. This also will be shared with you, not only on screen, but I'll also, there is a, what is it called? LMS. So in that there'll be a folder which all this. And then Anvaya will be given. Anvaya means Sanskrit, what happens, something unique about Sanskrit, word order, if you change, the meaning doesn't change. Right? If you change the word order, the meaning will not change. For example, you say the cat drank the milk. If you change the word order, put milk first and cat in the place of milk, it becomes the milk drank the cat. Now meaning is totally changed. But that doesn't happen in Sanskrit. I can take this word and put it at the end. I can take this word, put it somewhere here. Still the meaning will be the same. So we have to, but there is a traditional syntax. Word order is there, just like English and other languages. So we put it in poetry. It can be put in any order, but while explaining, we have to put it in a traditional order. So that thing is done. And then each word is explained. And of course, the translation will be given. So see, each word is explained here in detail. And there will be a detailed discussion during the class. Right, friends? So this is what it's going to be. And now I would prefer it to be interactive, and Ankurji could unmute. I don't think there'll be much problem if you unmute all of them.
Yeah, please raise your hand if you are, or message me in the chat if you're ready to make a.
Okay, Kiran Agrawal has asked, should I answer that? Yeah, sorry, Ankurji, you finish what you had to say first.
No, just any of the testimonials and previous students in the chat or in the Zoom. Just let me know and I can unmute you and you can give your testimonial. Let's answer questions as we take testimonials.
Okay, now there's one question here by Kiran, some age, Kiran Ji.
Kiran
What is
Agarwal.
Tattva? Kiran Agrawal. Tattva is the fundamental element, you can say, that of which the universe is made. So Prakriti is one Tattva. Purusha is also Tattva, right? Entity, you can call it an entity. So from Prakriti, from Purusha and Prakriti, the first Tattva to come out is the intellect. And from the intellect comes ego, Ahankara. And like that. So there are 25, it divides into 25 tattvas. Tattva, you can, some people translate it as element, some people, so many things, but actually there's no, you can say it's the fundamental thing. There are 25 fundamental things, tattva. I know, like sometimes, perhaps in Indian languages, they say, I know him, from tattva. That means I know his real nature, right? So tattva means the real something, the very, very fundamental. So these are 25 fundamental tattvas. Kiranji, I hope I gave you the answer. Please go slow. Was I going very fast? Okay.
It was a lot.
Because
There was a lot of information and some of those slides, there was a lot, but I think
I,
you covered pretty well. Unless if
yeah,
you have something
because
specific that you want to review, please let Dr. Demon know. And okay, please put your questions in the chat, in the Q&A box, and we can get to them.
I can't see the names of the participants.
Yeah,
Can
if you hit the pop-out button, then you can get the chat window separately. That's again Kiran Agarwal. What tattva mean ingredients? Maybe parts of it, the essence.
not exactly. That's what I said. See, some words cannot be translated into other languages. So we should try to, in that case, we just stick with the Sanskrit word. Okay.
Right. Let me launch the poll. Oh, here, Ganeshi is asking, is the study of Vaisheshika needed prior to Sankhya?
Well, if you can do that, fine. But many people, because as I said, see, there is a saying, they say, Karnadam Paniniyam cha Sarva Shastropakarakam. That means the science of the doctrines of Karnada. Karnada was the sage who wrote Vaisheshika Darshan. But here Vaisheshika means Nyaya also, the Gautam's logic, Nyaya Darshan. So you should have a good grounding in logic and Paniniyam. Panini is what? Grammar. Grammar. So you should have a solid knowledge of grammar and logic to understand any subject in the world. Any subject, not just, how can you, suppose you want to study economics. How can you study economics if you don't know the language? And if you don't have the logic, you can't do that. So that's why ideally you should study Vyakarana first and logic, then go to Sankhya. But that's generally not possible. So you begin with Sankhya and later on get so interested that you study Vedanta and yoga, and then get so interested that you realize that you have to study this, you have to learn Sanskrit if you want to go deep into it. So that's how it is. So it would depend where on your position. I can't say you have to study Vaisheshika first. It would depend, where you stand and what your goal is. Not everybody wants to become a teacher. So you have to study Sanskrit or something if you want to become a scholar of these one of these philosophies, or if you want to teach, then of course it is indispensable. But otherwise, you study, and no doubt the knowledge of Sanskrit will let you go deep into this. I would like to ask a question to all of put a question to all of you. Given a chance, there are many these texts, popular texts available, like Upanishads. Then you have these Vedas themselves, and then what else? There are yoga texts are there. So many texts, Bhagavad Gita, so many are there. Ramayana, Mahabharata. What's your interest, each one of you? What you would like to, the first thing that comes to mind when you think about these Indian systems, which book would you like to study first? Please type it in the chat, maybe. At least let me have 5 or 6 responses. Yoga Pradipika. What is it? Bhagavad Gita. Rahulji says. Jagdishji says, whatever improves my understanding of our purpose and goal in future life. This is Vishnuji. Ram Sampad Bhagavad Gita. Okay, just let's have a few more. Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita. Amanda. Right? Yes, and Amanda, what does she say? Vedas, Gita, still learning. Oh, she's still learning. Very good. One of the Upanishads, 12 Upanishads and Gita, Vedas. All right. Others may respond, but I was expecting these answers. Now, we would love to study these, okay? And that's the normal thing to do, that you'd like to study. But let me tell you, without studying these 6 darshanas, which I mentioned, the 6 philosophies, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, then Sankhya, Yoga, and Nyaya and Vaisheshika, you will understand only about 2% of Upanishad or Bhagavad Gita or anything. Because Bhagavad Gita and others, I will learn philosophy behind the Gita and war of Mahabharata. Okay. So you have to see, without learning the philosophy part, you will just understand very little of all these, Upanishads and other things you mentioned. And even that will be wrong understanding because we don't have the fundamental background, the philosophical background. For example, in Upanishad and Gita, some of you have studied Gita as the way it goes. Tell me, what's the meaning of Purusha? And what's the meaning of Prakriti according to you? When you say Prakriti, what do you think? Those who have read the Gita, because in Gita, Krishna says, I am the Lord of Prakriti. What is Prakriti? Okay, gunas. What is guna? What do you think is guna? Gita also talks about guna. Upanishads also talk about guna. Ahankara. What is ahankara? Ego. What is buddhi? See, now we have a general, very rough understanding of these terms, but we don't have proper understanding of these terms. And that understanding will come by learning philosophies like Sankhya, Vaisheshika, yoga philosophy, and such. So that's why before touching, Prakriti is energy or movement. Okay, Jagdish ji. What want to learn Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Yes, this is Ratnaji. Ratnaji, if you want to learn Patanjali Yoga Sutras, I would strongly suggest Sankhya first, because Sankhya is the philosophy on which yoga is based. It's the major philosophy on which yoga is based. So you must study Sankhya first, right? Okay, any questions? You may ask some questions, or Ankurji, if on their behalf you want to ask something. Have I left out anything by Mr. Of oversight regarding the course? Okay,
Uh,
this
yeah,
course, one assignment you have to do at the end of this course, right? And it'll have 4 questions, and you have to write a fairly, you can say, little serious answer of those questions. Like 20 marks will be given for attendance, 80 marks are for the questions. So 20 marks each question. And what else? I have to tell you. It'll be, and this will be in 2 parts, by the way. We can't finish 70 karikas in 11 classes. So it'll be 11 plus 11.
yeah,
And this will be an interactive class. It's not going to be a lecture on Sankhya. It's going to be an interactive class. So when each word, each thing is explained, I'll be asking you if you have understood or not. And if you have not, then you can say, I haven't understood. And then we discuss. So until thing is clearly understood, I don't usually go ahead just to cover the syllabus. So the fundamental things, and I'll be putting this Sankhya Darshana in perspective, in context with other darshanas, how how Vedanta thinks about this particular thing, how Vaisheshika thinks about it, and how Western philosophy and other philosophies, science talks about it. I noticed the goal of Sankhya was separation of Purusha, not practice Prakriti. Separation means, sorry, I think I separation is to understand clearly the difference between two. Do different texts have different goals? No, Amanda, all these 6 darshanas, I'm talking about Vedic, even that other ones, their ultimate goal is freedom from suffering, permanent freedom from suffering, not just freedom from suffering. It's a permanent freedom from suffering, and but in a different way. So, John Srinath, I'm totally new and haven't done any other. Where is it appropriate? Yes, you can start with Sankhya. Don't worry about that. I'll be Sankhya is the right place to begin. So it will be great. So where was I? For example, Vedanta also talks about that our misery is because we don't know our true nature. Avidya, wrong knowledge is our problem. So tell me, what's the antidote of wrong knowledge? Suppose I'm suffering from some wrong knowledge. How do I get over that misery? Let's say I'm healthy perfectly, but I think I have some contagious disease. I don't have it, but I believe. So how will you cure me of that disease? Seeking the right knowledge. Tamasoma jyotir. Yes, because if my disease has a real cause, then knowledge won't help there. Then of course I have to get some medication. But if it's an imaginary, if I wrongly think I have a disease, then somebody has to just prove to me that it's not, I don't have that disease. That's all. Nothing else has to be done. So these darshanas, especially Sankhya Darshana and Vedanta, they say right knowledge is the answer for your problems. And that's what Nyaya and Vaisheshika also say. They say you're seeing the world wrongly. Know the true nature of the world, and then you know your own true nature, and then you'll be free of miseries. Yoga, on the other hand, says while it is true that wrong knowledge, avidya, is the cause of a misery, that misery won't go away just like that. Something has to be done. So you have to be made ready to get that moksha. For example, there is a barren land. You go there and now you want to grow crop. Crop won't grow just like that. You have to first, till the soil. You have to do so many things, add fertilizers, and then after that you have to water it properly, make sure all the things are there. Then crop will grow, right? See, ultimately crop grows on its own. Nature, you can't make the crop grow. You can only give it the right condition. Make the conditions ripe for that. So yoga says we'll make the conditions ripe so that you're ready for right knowledge. Right now, most of us not ready for right knowledge. So that's why we keep studying Gita and Upanishads. We keep listening to that. We keep listening that we are Brahma, we are that universal self, and there's no difference between we and them. But still, we are miserable. Krishna keeps reminding us that body never dies. Sorry, the you never die, just the body perishes. That's all. It's just like casting away old clothes and wearing new ones. But yeah, we appreciate that. But when death happens in a family, we are heartbroken because just theoretical knowledge will not help us. This has to sink in deep. You have to feel exactly that, oh, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. That should be your experience. Until that happens, yeah, all these things will be very nice to hear, to listen to. Oh, all these big philosophies. But these philosophies have to make a difference in our life. See, it's by taking up Sankhya course, I don't want you to go back just with some more load of knowledge. That already there is plenty of knowledge. It's not that. It is to take off the load. After learning Sankhya Karika, your load, your emotional load, all these problems that we have, all these complexes that we have, it should reduce at least to some extent. Only then it would be, I'll consider it successful. And then, of course, you have to do some practice, just like cycling, just by, you know, uh, just by learning a little bit, you'll not get the balance. You'll fall many times, but slowly you'll get. Without knowing much Sanskrit, will we learn the gist of Sankhya from? Yes, of course. This course is designed. We have not written anywhere that knowledge of Sanskrit is mandatory. Anybody with zero knowledge of Sanskrit and even zero knowledge of Indian culture, there are many students who had no knowledge of anything much about India. They didn't know. So they joined and later on they got interested. They did many courses later on. So you can join. This is Vishnu ji. You can join, no problem. Only you must have a nice desire to learn. So could you ask the panelists to say something because I'm just it's like a monologue. I'm speaking. Maybe they would like to
Yeah,
hear
let's get some of the student
others.
testimonials. I haven't seen anybody raise their hand or message me. I got Kiran Agarwal. Is that one of your students or he was just gonna ask a question? Okay, Kiran ji, please raise your hand or ping me if you are a previous student. I do have that testimonial from Eleanor. I could play that as well. She's not able to join us, but she recorded a testimonial.
Okay. Sujan Srinath says it's 2 a.m. in UK. Sujanji, that's the right time. At that time, Mother Saraswati is right above, hovering about you. So that is the Brahma Muhurta. If you wake up at 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., you see the difference. All right. I know it may be very cold there, but still try it out.
I have just one question. I
Yes,
don't
Kevin.
understand many of the words.
Doesn't
And
matter. Doesn't matter. You will understand them slowly.
and will I remember them? Like
Of course.
just now you said Purusha. I've forgotten what it means.
You will.
Okay.
You will. Don't worry. We'll repeat it so many times that we'll drill it into your
Okay, thank you.
system. So don't worry about that. Don't be overwhelmed about these words. All right. If you can remember, fine. If you don't remember, no problem. So long as your misery ends a little bit at the end. The whole thing is to show you how to get out of the misery, how to get out, because generally most of us have some problem or the other. Very few. I'm surprised if somebody says I have no problems. So there will be problem, because if there's no problem, you won't be coming here to this course, these philosophies. This philosophy generally, there is something. You may have all the comforts of the world, you may have the money, you may have, but still there is some void inside, something, some anxiety, something will be there always. And the ultimate fear of death is there. Even if you are a happy person, death is certainly going to come one day, and that fear is there always. What happens? Does everything end here? What's the class schedule for 11 sessions and no prerequisites? Yeah, no prerequisites. No, you don't have to. You have to just come with this sincerity. And Ankuji, what is 6? Now it will be 7:30 a.m. by your time there.
Yeah, so it's going to be on Wednesdays. I'm putting it in the chat. Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm putting it in the chat with a link. It's going to start on January 15th. It'll go until March 26th. So there's a link to register right there. I have the poll up. Let us know if you're interested. Click through, and it's a $300 course. It's a 1.5 quarter credit hour course, and it does count towards the certificate program in Hindu studies under the texts and traditions area of study. Yeah.
Yes. Now there are no timing options right now. That's the only timing available. And if you get, say, about 15 students from UK, then maybe Ankurji will consider having a special class for UK students, somebody with that time zone.
Yeah, that's about the number. If we can get 15
However, one
students at a
thing,
time zone.
one way out is there is one student from Italy. Now, for her also, it's about 2 a.m. or something. So she says, but I want to attend the class, but she follows the recordings. You will be given, I forgot about the recordings. You will have recordings of every session. In case you miss a session, a class, then you can always watch the recording videos of this session. Please consider continental Europe. Ankurji, please look at that. Gabriela. Netherlands, recordings are not the same as live sessions. True, I agree with that. But that's the next best thing. So if we have enough students, you motivate some of your friends to join and you write to us. I'm sure we'll consider. Earlier also there was a suggestion like this people asked, but then HUA said you get us about 10 to 15 students and we'll certainly have a session for you, separate class for you. Gabriela, tell us about yourself. You're from Netherlands? Are you from Netherlands? And if you'd like to speak, maybe we can unmute you. Could you unmute Gabriela?
Yeah, let me find Gabrielle in the chat. And
Teresha ji says it clashes with his Ayurveda wellness course. Now, well, then you have to wait for the next batch of Sankhya.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Yes,
Um,
Gabriela.
Thank you very much for this introductory video and for touching the comparative aspect of various darshanas. My personal interest lies in understanding knowledge systems
Right.
because I'm convinced in the universality of it across continents. So if one is interested in the truth, then it is actually the same throughout humanity. So particular attention is needed to decode these karikas, sutras, and I feel that only a person who deeply dedicated oneself to the study of it and embodying that knowledge can share it to others. So I really appreciate your effort to try and open up such a complex subject, which doesn't have sort of quantifiable immediate results, but actually is very crucial long term, and especially opening it up for non-Indians or non-Hindus. So yeah, I have the same problem of time zones. And I'm interested in all darshanas. And as I wrote earlier, before even that, about the reasoning, the Tarka Shastra, to understand how does it all form, because otherwise learning the Prasthanatrayam or any other treaty is not really possible. Thank you.
Yes, you should know Tarka. Tarka is Nyaya Darshan, which I mentioned. So we have a course. I myself teach that course on Nyaya. If it is offered again, you can, you can take up, you can enroll. That will, of course, help you. Meanwhile, I do teach, give introduction to logic even while teaching Sankhya, because without having some knowledge of logic, you will not understand. And Sankhya Karika, they themselves see all these darshanas, they tell little bit what logic they are using, what kind of methods of knowing they are using. So they tell you. So there I have to anyway go through logic. But in Nyaya class, in the logic class, it will be exclusively logic for 22 classes. So that's in-depth knowledge. In-depth knowledge you get. Okay, Ankurji, there's this question by Vishnuji. When we apply, it asks the program, but Sankhya is not there. Which one to select? So please help him.
Yeah, so you don't need to apply for a program to enroll in the course. I'll drop the link into the course and you can just take the course directly from there, and you can enroll into a program later on. So Vishnu, you just click that link and go through the register, and it's a little bit of an issue with the programs you're applying for and the courses. So if you want to enroll just in the course, you can, and then we can enroll you into a full program. Yeah, Sankhya is not a program, it's a course. Yeah.
All right. Lakshmi ji asks, what's the difference between yoga and yoga? I'm from the south and we always say it yoga, like a Ram rather than Rama rather than Ram. But I'm not sure if that applies to you. Okay, yes, that's a good question. Generally, for example, in South India, they say Rama, and North Indians say Ram. And both think they're right and the other guy is wrong, but actually both are wrong. It's neither Ram nor Rama, it is Rama. So could you see the difference? See, one is Ram, one is Rama, one is Rama. See, yoga, yoga. Is there a difference? Ankurji, could you spot the difference? Yoga, yoga. Is there a
Yeah,
difference?
pronunciation, it sounds different, and
I'm just talking about the pronunciation. So North Indians pronounce it as yog. That's wrong. South Indians and Westerners pronounce it as yoga. That's also wrong. It's just yoga. Yoga. Neither yog nor yoga. It is yoga. Yoga. All right. Because Sanskrit is spoken exactly the way it is written, and it's written exactly the way it is spoken. Every syllable over there, every mark over there has to be pronounced like that. But uh, in some of these regional languages, naturally, it's not Sanskrit, so it changes a little bit. So, like Krishna, it's not Krishna, it's not Krishna also, it's Krishna, right? So some say Krishna, so it's not no, it's Hana, Krishna, it's not Krishna, huh? Not Krishna ni Begani Baro. So there are these bhajans are there. It's not, it is Krishna, Ana, soft and soft na sound. So Lakshmi ji, I hope you got your answer.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've gotten through most of the questions. All right. So kind of closing
No
thoughts.
students, there are no students today? No students here, okay.
Any previous students? I couldn't get Eleanor's audio to work for some reason. The format isn't working for me. I downloaded it, but I couldn't share it. But do we have any previous Dr. Demon students who can get on at least audio and share, or video? Is that Lakshmi ji? Let's see, Lakshmi ji.
Dr. Chris, he's from New York. What doctor are you? Are you Yogesh or the UK? Yogesh also UK. And who is this? Dilip. MD is what?
Lakshmi
Midlands
ji?
or what's MD? Midlands or what's MD? Yogesh, okay.
Lakshmi ji, go ahead. You are unmuted.
Namaste.
Namaste.
This was very enlightening. I hoping
Thank you.
to take some courses next year. Right now, I'm not in a position time wise, and very interested in the Hindu scriptures. So, what is the best way to start? Not just the schedule, what is available, but how to go about, like, to start from the beginning properly, the foundation of the courses which you recommend.
So that's what I said. I would recommend Sankhya first.
Okay.
And if you can't for some reason, then start with Vedanta. Or whatever suits you. Begin somewhere, but you have to study Sankhya sooner or later. You have to study all these 6 sooner or later. So in which order you study would depend upon your convenience. All right, because obviously if Sankhya is starting now, this Sankhya is starting in January. So it's not that every month we have a new batch of Sankhya, right? So if you miss this, then next Sankhya may start after 4 months, maybe somewhere in April. We don't know. It would depend on the demand and the HUA schedule also. It depends upon so many things, right? We can't start a course just like that.
Correct.
So that cycle is like that.
My question was, can you put like a hint whether it's easy or for beginners or something, or all of them are the same level of difficulty?
Actually, none of them is difficult, right?
Maybe for you.
No, no, not for. I'm just telling you the fact. None of them is difficult. It's just people make it difficult. People, those who write about it, those who teach it, you must have heard it a million times. Sankhya is very difficult. Oh, Sankhya is very difficult, but then they say Vedanta is everything is, if it is difficult, see, some amount of difficulty will be there because you have to realign yourself, you have to rethink, you have to, that much you have to do. So if you're open, people who learn the fastest are the one who start from level 0 and who forget what they've learned about a thing earlier. See, the problem is especially Indians, those who have some knowledge of these, I am Brahma, what is Atma, Paramatma, these words they know, correct? Because it's there in the culture, it's there. But the thing is, most of the time, those ideas are all wrong. Now, to correct a wrong idea is very difficult.
Takes more time.
Then
Yeah.
it takes more time. Then sometimes it's easier to teach somebody from a different culture who doesn't have much background. So it's much easier to, but
Clean slate.
yeah, clean slate is it's much easier to make a new building than to renovate an old one sometimes.
Correct. Yeah. No, I agree
So,
with that.
but at the same time, the best thing to do is become a child. When you come to the class, you become like see, children, why they learn fast? See,
Because
their
they
brain is much less developed, at least, because there is that clutter is not there in them. And they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're not afraid to ask questions, correct?
yes,
Because grown-ups have all those inhibitions are there sometimes. Oh, if
correct.
I ask this question, I wonder what others will say. Oh, she doesn't even know this. How can I ask this question? So that inhibition should be, you should give up all those. Come like a small child. You will learn so quickly and enjoy the class rather, don't take it as a burden on your head that you have to clear some exam or something. Don't bother about all that. You just come and don't hesitate to speak up. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Then you will learn really, really quickly.
I have one more question. This may not
Yes.
be related, or maybe is Sankhya was Buddhism based on Sankhya philosophy? And
Yeah, Buddhism has taken a lot from Sankhya. Actually, Buddhism has taken a lot from Vedanta also. They won't accept it, but that's the fact.
because I found a lot of similarities, and
Yeah, see, all these darshanas, because they grew up in the same country, so naturally influences are there.
okay,
Even these guys may have got influenced by Jainis, Buddhists, and all that. So this, when you live together, it's going to happen, right? It
correct.
happens. Now, where do you live, Lakshmiji?
I live in Boston. I'm an
In
orthodontist.
Boston.
Yeah.
Okay. So, having lived in, since you live there, it is quite possible that, the way people speak there and all that, slowly, knowingly, unknowingly, you acquire those accents. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Harvard.
that's how it,
Harvard is a huge influence
yeah,
in
so
the
that's what happens.
pronunciation.
So these, when you live together, you learn from, you
Correct.
unknowing, even if you don't want to, you get influenced by the other progress. So that's how it is.
Yeah. It's
And
very easy for us to know who is not from here, the way they pronounce those words and the
yeah,
street names.
it's yes, of course. In India, I can tell you who is from, generally who is from where.
Correct.
Because the way they speak a little bit, you can, but you have to live there long enough to uh, recognize different things. And there's something
Dhanyawad.
else. And in this class, see, generally first hour will be for class. Okay, first hour will be class, and then after that, at least 1 hour of discussion is there. So, Lakshmiji, during that time, you can ask any relevant or even irrelevant questions which you think are irrelevant. So you can, at that time, it's open and it can go on for 1 hour, sometimes more than 1 hour. All right.
Dhanyawad.
And so regarding our continental, intercontinental friends, so I don't know, and if you can persuade some of your friends to enroll, maybe, and it would be great because we would love to have students from Europe. What do you say, Ankush?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've had many students now talk about it, and we just need to make a concerted effort to recruit students in the European time zone and area. Yeah.
And how would you go about it? Like, would
So
Gabriel
one thing
help
is
us?
we have the students that are already there. reaching out to their friends and other folks. We've got the Friends of HUA. We've been reaching out to mandirs and temples and other Hindu organizations and trying to engage with them and let them know that Hindu University of America exists. And like we're talking about now, if we can get a critical mass, we can offer a specific course that is suitable for that time zone.
So I hope Gabriel and others have your email, right?
Yeah, please do
And
email me. I'll put it in the chat.
if they think they have some other potential students, maybe they can email you, and then we can see. It would be wonderful to have people from Europe, because a lot of people from Europe come to India to study.
Yeah. Yep. And we do the calling and the follow-up, so that's always an opportunity to try and talk to some of the team to adjust and share these concerns, etc.
Yeah, maybe two, that two friends, for example, Gabriel and another in UK. Maybe if they could be in touch with you and some kind of interaction is there, and like they could say 5 from UK and 5 to 6 from the continent, it would be nice.
Yeah. Gabriella, and who was the other one from UK?
I saw on top there's some one
All
second.
right, I'll take a look. Great.
I want to.
Surisha, the Ayurveda. Okay. Sujan. Yeah. Gotcha.
Sujan's right. So.
All right. Thank you, Sujan. Srinathji will try, and Gabriella will try and work on that European time zone.
Dr. Linda Wood is also there.
Yeah.
I wish she would say something. Is she still
I
there?
think she had to leave early.
Oh, she has left. Okay.
Yeah, she's no longer in the Zoom. Okay. Sorry for not having more student testimonials. We'll do better on that next time. But in the email follow-up, we'll share a video and some more information and some extra details about the course. Yeah. Okay.
Lakshmi ji has a message for you.
I have taken that down, Lakshmi ji, and I will give you a call later, probably today.
Okay.
All right. All right, well, everyone, it's always my pleasure to host these, and thank you for participating and filling out the poll. Let me hand it to Dr. Deepen for closing thoughts and statement. Take us home, Dr. Deepen.
Well, I thank all of you for joining this webinar, and I would expect most of you to be there in the class, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And don't worry about not knowing Sanskrit or not knowing the philosophy part, because that's what we are here to help you with. Be there and you won't regret it. You will go deeper and deeper into it. So to come. Ratna Shastri, thank you. Yes, thank you, Ratna. I wish I could hear all of you, but I couldn't. Jitu Javeri, good presentation. Oh, Jitu ji has enrolled. Jitu ji, where are you from?
Jitu is in Irvine, right? Los Angeles area, Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a male name or a female name? Jitu. Jitu. It could be either. Looks like a male name to me.
I haven't met Jitu ji.
All right, so we'll see on January the 15th in the mid of winter. And you will enjoy this winter with the heat of Sankhya. Right? Okay, good night, all of you. Thank you. Anchor Patelji, thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
You presented so well. You hold the session very well.
I appreciate you. It's easy when you have a wonderful faculty like yourself. So thank you for being here.
Right. Okay. Bye-bye.